Good morning from the Broadbeach Bowls Club for finals day at the Multi-Nations Tournament here on the Gold Coast. Our first match of three that we're bringing to you, a bronze medal match in the women's singles. Jo Edwards, New Zealand's most capped player, her 627th game for New Zealand, up against Australia Yellows' Krstic. Very much at the other end of her career, very much in its infancy, just 25 years of age, but already established herself amongst this Australian setup. I'm Brenton Van Nistelrooy. With me in commentary is Kevin Hickland. Very good morning to you, Kev.
Good morning, Brenton, and another beautiful morning here at Broadbeach. Sun streaming in through the pines here at this wonderful setting right by the sea, of course, and we're in for a big finals day with New Zealand. Three New Zealand sides will be contesting finals today, the men's triples, the men's pairs, and then later on this afternoon, the women's pairs. So we've got a full day of action here, and of course the first game that we'll concentrate on is the Jo Edwards game against Krstic, the Western Australian singles player.
Yeah, very much looking forward to this one. And we've got two very good singles players. Jo Edwards, of course, the two-time defending champion, Commonwealth Games gold in this event, of course, a little over 18 months ago, winning gold here on the Gold Coast at Broadbeach Bowls Club, and certainly will start the favourite in this contest. But Kevin, Krstic, in a relatively young career, has already showed she's more than capable. In 2018 Australian Nationals, bronze in the singles. I think the same year in the Australian Open, won silver in the women's singles. So certainly a player, not just for the future, but for the present.
Christina is definitely part of the Australian, high performance squad of about 10 ladies that they've got in the side and 10 men. And she's certainly part of that whole setup. And no doubt, as they move forward, of course, we've got the World Championships coming up. And then, of course, 2022, the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham. So Australia already putting their plans in place, not only for the World Champs here on Broadbeach, but further afield from there. And Krstic will certainly be part of that. It's interesting last night, Brendan, after the play, we did the women's pairs game, the Jo Edwards game. I had a good talk to Jo about her bowls. And we noticed yesterday about the drawing width of her bowls, and if you notice, the viewers sitting at home watching this, you'll see the arc of Jo's bowl is considerably wider. And as she said to me, a lot of it's got to do with her delivery, which I agree. She's got a delivery which is high and it's consistent, but it's more about the type of bowls that she plays with. And she, although there's a lot of more straighter biased bowlers, I could call them, Jo still is one of the more traditional players who likes to have a wider arc drawing bowl, and that was certainly evident yesterday in that pairs game, and I'm sure we'll see that again this morning in the singles game as they play the first end.
Oh, actually, it's actually the second end. They've got away nice and early and caught us a bit off the hop, so 1-0 already, Jo Edwards leading Krstic in the race to 21 in this women's singles bronze medal match. So this, in fact, the second end. So they started a bit early, as they tend to do in the singles game. They're not mucking around. Want to get this over and done with. Singles action, obviously, with fewer bowls, usually gets through a bit quicker, especially with the speed that both of these women play, Jo Edwards and Krstic. So Krstic now with her third bowl of this second end.
So appearing from how she's played that bowl, that third bowl of Jo Edwards may have just snuck in for shot. She was definitely a couple down, and Christina was trying to play to get a touch on the jack, obviously to move the jack back to her yellow bowls in behind the head. As we watch, Jo Edwards now certainly getting out wider on that forehand and is staying outside the width of the head.
Yeah, which suggests to me that she's holding shot by playing that covering bowl. Would you think that? Well, it's obviously a bit hard to tell, but certainly maybe that black bowl, which is maybe level with the jack, is the shot bowl.
It looks like it as we look at the monitor as well. It seems to be sitting virtually on a straight line with the jack, but we'll see. Krstic, she'll certainly play up, trying to reach the Jo Edwards bowl and dislodge it, or get a touch on the jack, on its way, certainly on a wider line than what her third bowl was. It's breaking down towards the head now. Is it going to get to the jack or feather the bowl? And did feather the bowl, push the Joe Edwards bowl completely out of the head.
Oh, now it could be 3 to Christina Krstic. So that's a fantastic bowl by the young Australian. And we've got the lollipop lady as well, which is able to give us confirmation of what that was. We'll wait for them to go up. Just working them out. 4, in fact, for Christina Krstic. So that's a big end for the young Australian. 4-1. She now leads New Zealand's Joe Edwards in the race to 21. Of course, it's not about how many ends. It's all about who gets to 21 first in singles play. And Christina Krstic taking a big step there.
Certainly was, and it was. Although it wasn't completely on target, it was very close to it. Just got a feather off the bowl, which ran onto the jack and pushed the Joe Edwards bowl out of the head. But we also, we've commentated Joe's games before, Brendan. Very tenacious player, Joe, and for us she's concerned it's 1-1, and she just get quickly back into her work. That heads over, and let's move on to the next one. And that's the sort of player which Joe is, as she plays down now on her forehand with the black charcoaly coloured bowls against the Australian. Easy to sort whose bowls who in this one, Brenton, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. There's no mistaking bowls, especially when there's just one set against another, rather than triples or fours play when you've got a number of sets. And they're not exactly in country colours, but these are the Krstic bowls, the yellow. She's representing Australia yellow, of course. That's the first time we caught up with our coverage. Australia playing 2 teams at these multi-nations tournament on the Gold Coast. Australia green as well, which we'll have coverage of later today. We've got the men's triples final for you. Ellie Forsyth, Andrew Kelly and Chris Lalieve up against Aaron Tees, Corey Wedlock and Barry Lester of Australia green. And then also the women's pairs final, which you see Joe Edwards back in action with Taylor Bruce up against Karen Murphy and Ellen Ryan. They also represent Australia green, as we see a fantastic bowl toucher from Joe Edwards. Spray comes out from the marker. And that's just another example of these wide bowls that she has, able to make it back towards the centre line with consistency. And after a pretty average first 3 bowls from both 3 players, Joe Edwards with her second right on the money.
You can see the difference in the line that we were speaking about, because here Christina Krstic's going to play a good bowl again and touch the jack, and her width of her bowl is at least a foot inside where Joe Edwards comes from. But Joe Edwards now come up, play up to the shot bowl. Joe Edwards has got, of course, that bowl sitting in behind the head as well, so any movement of the jack is certainly in Joe's favour. We won't be frightened of reaching up to that bowl.
Yeah, it's like they're playing a different game, aren't they, these two, with the different bowls. Joe Edwards and Christina Krstic. You see the line that Joe Edwards is able to play with her bowls compared to Krstic, who playing a lot narrower. And before she bowls her 4th and last, she's going to have a come and look at the head, see what the situation is, see what she can do. She probably wants to get one, Kevin, amongst these back black bowls, I'd say.
Certainly, to change her hand and draw to these to the 2 back bowls. If she draws inside that, she's got third shot, which of course would then reduce the scoring options for Joe Edwards, because right now, sure, 1 down is Joe Edwards, but Joe's got a chance. If there's not another bowl goes in there, she can make 3 shots of that, and all she's got to do, head the weight that last bowl, just bring her line in fractionally and to that jack line, as we watch Christina Krstic, as we predicted, trying to get down to those Joe Edwards bowls, and it breaks down towards the head now, and it's just going to drop past by about 1 metre and a bit. So we will see Joe Edwards now. She'll play down, definitely the 1 down. And she'll play with reaching weight just to reach through the yellow shot bowl and move the jack. All in her favour, just in behind the head. Here's Joe Edwards, former Nelson player, on the forehand, and she has brought that line in with that weight line. Is it enough? No, it's not. Not going to be enough. Definitely increase the weight on it. Just the line a wee bit offline. So another 1 to Australia.
Yeah,
5-1.
Krstic taking that 4-shot advantage. So 5-1 as the lollipop goes up there as well by our marker.
Well, the big thing, of course, in singles, and although Joe Edwards is 5-1 down, it's about how the heads come together. And if we look at that particular head, no disrespect at all to Christina Krstic, who scored the single, but it was the only bowler which she really had there on the head, whereas Joe Edwards did have three bowls hanging around it. So, Joe Edwards is quickly into her, what I'd call, normal, consistent drawing game. And, her experience is, she's number one ranked women's player in the world, isn't it? So you don't have to say anything more, really.
No, she is the woman to beat when it comes to this discipline. There's no doubt about that. Of course, two-time defending champion, Commonwealth Games in women's singles. It was a bit of a shock when she went down in the semi-finals here. But, she was carrying a quad injury, and hearing from her rink coach, Gail Melrose, yesterday, says that she's had a bit of cupping, which is, I suppose, relatively modern treatment from physios these days, and it seems to have been fine the last couple of days, her quad, which is a new injury she hasn't really experienced before. Certainly gave her difficulty during that semi-final, but as we've seen with Taylor Bruce and the pairs, gone through unbeaten, perfect 8 from 8, making it through to the final, where they'll face Karen Murphy and Ellen Ryan later this afternoon. We'll have that for you.
It's a big week, Brendan, for all of the players. But if you take like Joe Edwards, we've got this one here, and then of course we straight away tomorrow morning we move into the Trans-Tasman, and then the following week, of course, is the Joe Edwards playing in the rest of the world team versus Australia. So she doesn't want an injury right now. As we watch this second bowler, Joe Edwards pull up short. She's 2 down at present.
There's Krstic coming out wider this time. Maybe asking a bit too much with her bowls to come back to the centre line. Weight's not quite right either. It's going to end up on that centre line, but a good 1.5 metres beyond the jack.
So it looks as though Joe Edwards may change her hand. No, she's not. She's staying on that backhand side, trying to get around past her own. She knows that's too wide, in fact.
Yeah, it doesn't like that one.
She quickly sort of walked away and gave up on that one, trying to get outside her what is third shot bowl to draw into the head. As we watch now Christina Krstic play her fourth bowl. And again, Brenton, that's out on that wider, slightly wider line, but now it's breaking with good weight and towards the head. And this is going to count as well, and that would be 3 shots.
Yeah, all to do for Joe Edwards here. She asked the marker, how many down am I? Whether that was another counting bowl, and marker said yes. So all to do with her final bowl, Joe Edwards. Otherwise, she'll be facing an even bigger deficit than she is already. So an important early bowl for the two-time defending Commonwealth Games champion.
Changed her hand. Breaking down towards the head now. Is it going to sit inside the bowl or outside it and fall in? Well, it will have cut one of them out, definitely, I would imagine, Brenton.
Yeah, it should be at least 2, though, I would have thought, for Christina Krstic. We'll wait for the lollipops to go up. There they go. So 2 more for Christina Krstic of Australia Yellow. 7-1. She now leads New Zealand's Joe Edwards in the race to 21. Women's singles bronze medal match here at the Multi-Nations. The final day of the Multi-Nations at the Broadbeach Bowls Club. Another beautiful day on the Gold Coast. When I woke up, it was a touch overcast, but that cloud quickly burned off. And a beautiful day in store, as we'll expect, for the 3 days of the Trans-Tasman, which will follow tomorrow. First up will be Club Helensvale, then Musgrave Hill, and then back here Broadbeach for the 3rd test. And we'll have coverage of all 3 tests here for you. Looking forward to bringing you 3 full days still of top-level Trans-Tasman action.
It is a bit strange for us Kiwis not renting it before 5 o'clock it's daylight.
Oh, it's very strange. There's no doubt about that. It's incredible, all the runners and cyclists out at that hour as well. People going for an early morning surf or a swim. surf ski. It's certainly a different kind of lifestyle here, but it's the best time to get amongst it when the sun's not too hot. Far more enjoyable at that time in the morning. And now really we're at already approaching 9 a.m. local time, really at the heat of the day.
Yeah, it is, Brenton, as we see that second bowl of Christina Krstic after Joe Edwards drew the shot, and the Krstic bowl just slid across the head and sat jack level and will be shot, leading 7-1 is the Australian player in the race 221. Joe Edwards trying to get down on the draw to the counting bowl as it breaks down towards the head now. How's the weight as it gets down towards the jack? Is it going to get far enough? Comes back to the centre line. And let's see what the lollipop lady does with that, if she does anything with it. But
he's going to hold off with the lollipops until the end, I think, Kevin. You may see top right screen as well, Caitlin Inch involved in women's fours action against Wales. That's also a bronze medal match. We'll keep you up to date with the score of that one. That's only just got underway. But Caitlin Inch now skipping the women's four. So Val Smith skipped the women's four throughout proceedings. But now Caitlin Inch moving into that role as we see another good bowl there from Christina Krstic. So Val Smith moving into the 3 role. So a chance for 2 bronze medals for New Zealand this morning. Also in action in the green behind us, we have Andrew Kelly in the men's singles 5th v 6th action. And he is taking on Brendan Aguilani of Malta. So I'll keep you up to date with those 2 scores, as well as, of course, the feature here. Joe Edwards and Christina Krstic in the women's singles bronze medal match is trailing towards the jack here is Joe Edwards. But is it only going to push it towards that Krstic bowl? I'd maybe just favour the Edwards bowl perhaps on the screen there. It's quite hard to tell.
I'd tend at this point to, looking at the monitor, to favour the Joe Edwards bowl. Drew down in between the port, got that touch on the jack, and the jack just moved a wee bit sideways out to the Australian bowl. And looks as though it is one to Joe Edwards, trading 7-1 in these early stages in the race to 21 in this bronze medal match at the Multi-Nations event.
And New Zealand's up 1-0 after the first of 15 ends in the women's fours bronze medal match against Wales. Krstic with her final bowl. She's going to run into the short one and knocks away what would have been her only bowl threatening for the shot. So that could potentially be 2 now for Joe Edwards.
I would say that Joe is now holding 2 shots and undergreened on that run shot that Christina Krstic and just slid across and took her own bowl out. And definitely Joe Edwards holding 1 for sure, and more than likely 2 with a bowl to come.
Yeah, and you'd back her in here as well to draw another.
And she'll continue, Joe Edwards will continue down on that backhand side where she drew that shot with her 3rd bowl, where she got a touch on the jack.
Oh, doesn't really like it, I don't think. Head straight down, not watching this one down as she usually would.
It's breaking pretty generously towards the head now, though, Brendan. Is it going to sit on the bowl? If it sits on the bowl, that'll certainly count, and it does. So it was a very good bowl from Joe Edwards.
Yeah, certainly was. Surprised by that reaction, considering. And we'll wait for confirmation from the lollipop. And 2 go up. So it was just 2, unfortunately. So the other one wasn't counting. Good number for Joe Edwards. She cuts the deficit to 4. Now Christina Krstic, Australia yellow, leading New Zealand's Joe Edwards 7-3 in the race to 21.
And no doubt we'll see Joe Edwards, as we saw yesterday in the women's pairs, will play a different length. She'll dictate the length that she wants to play. She certainly won't play the same length as the Australian player. And we saw that yesterday in the pairs against the Welsh combination. So here's now Joe Edwards going to play on her forehand. In her first bowl, trailing 7-3 in the race to 21 in this bronze medal match.
Yeah, she's brought the jack right up as well. Shorter end. Well, the mat's almost back at that 2 metre mark, and that's a length she likes, just like she does in the women's pairs as well. It's been working with Taylor Bruce. Also in the singles, there's a toucher there with her first bowl. See how Christina Krstic responds. Bit of a false start from her. Maybe something just out of the corner of her eye. Now, second time round with her first. How does she react with this shorter end? This one comes under the centre line. Narrow. Wait, not quite right. She's going to get 3 more opportunities, though. You can't actually see the jack as Joe Edwards' bowl. It's right behind it. Toucher.
So Edwards again now on the forehand, as Brendan said, holding the shot. Her bowl locked virtually right on top of the jack. And watch this second bowl now. This breaks towards the head. It's going to sit back on the centre line again. Another good bowl from Edwards. Just sits in behind the head, and that'll be 2 for sure. So following on that forehand side is Krstic, certainly on a wider arc with this bowl. Now how far it will come back, and certainly won't attract itself to the shot bowl or second shot. So comes back towards the centre line, but still Joe Edwards will be holding 2 shots. Edwards now contemplating, where do I try to get to sit on the yellow bowl and still count, but Edwards will certainly be persevering down on that forehand side. Coming down now and trying to get down to the orange bowl area and count, and will sit on her own and sits right behind. It's 3 good bowls, Brendan.
Yes, certainly are from Joe Edwards. Right on the money, liking this shorter length end as she had control of the jack and she put it where she wanted to. Started with a great toucher and really put the pressure on Krstic, who this time is going to come under the line short. So it should still be, at least 2, potentially 3 for Joe Edwards. Is 2 says the marker. Joe Edwards just trying to work out what was the second bowl and how far away that her second bowl is from the jack. Gets that instructions, and now she sizes up the situation on the mat to bowl her lasts of this end, holding 2, trying to make it 3 before Krstic has the last response, which covers her head with the towel. I don't know if that was for any reason, because the last end she drew a great shot. Maybe she wasn't quite looking for that. She was trying to get in between those 2.
So that looks like 3, Brendan?
Yeah, or maybe just 2. I think it certainly looks like 3. It actually looks almost like 4. But I think that the fact that she knocked away what was the second bowl, I think that may have knocked it maybe further away than this the bowl which is right of the jack, which is probably jack low.
So Krstic definitely down on the head, playing up to the counting bowls of Joe Edwards, trying to get to the counting bowls, and
great effort.
Great effort.
Certainly reduced the count. If it was 2 or 3, it's only 1 now for Joe Edwards. But another single for her. So cuts the deficit 7-4 now. 7-4 in the race to 21. Australia's Krstic still leading New Zealand's Joe Edwards. But Joe Edwards fighting her way back. Was 7-1 down, of course, in the early stages.
And of course, Joe Edwards, based now at the Pine Rivers Club up here in Brisbane, in fact, and plays, gets good competition all the time because part of the Bowls Premier League. We should be playing for Inogra this year, along too, in the same side as Gary Lawson will be representing Inogra as well in the Queensland Bowls Premier League. And of course, Joe Edwards, great to hear. Joe's coming back to play in the Nationals, the Somerset Nationals in Christchurch, and starting January the 2nd, as is Val Smith coming back from Australia, Ali Forsyth coming back. So it's good to have so many of our leading players in this World Championship year, Brendan, coming back to show their wares.
And Caitlin Inch coming back as well.
Yes, Caitlin Inch coming back. So it's great to see so many of these players in our Blackjack squad making their way back for the Somerset National Championships, which will be in Christchurch from the 2nd of January to the 8th, with Bowls Papanui as the headquarters, and Brenton and myself will be there for sure.
I can let you know as well, in the 5th-6th playoff, in the men's singles, it's Brendan Aguilani of Malta who is leading Andrew Kelly of New Zealand, 9-5. That's in the 5th-6th playoff. And after 2 ends of the women's fours bronze medal match between New Zealand and Wales, it's New Zealand leading 2-0. It is now Caitlin Inch who is skipping that New Zealand women's four for the first time this tournament, after Val Smith skipped them through their 7-round robin games and their semi-final loss.
As we see Christina Krstic just drift under Joe Edwards' bowl, and it will be holding 2 shots. Edwards on the mat, trailing 7-4, playing on her backhand. Breaking down towards the head now, coming back towards the centre line, coming down towards the jack, coming right towards the jack and sits right on top of the jack. A toucher from the New Zealand player, changed her hand and drew right on top of the jack.
Yeah, brilliant bowl again from Joe Edwards, who relishing these shorter ends as she got control of the mat and the jack again. Krstic looking to take the shot back, and she does. Knocks away that toucher. Draws a toucher herself. That's a fantastic bowl. Whatever you can do, Joe, I can do better, says Christina Krstic.
Certainly a fantastic bowl by the 25-year-old from Western Australia. Just drew up, rested the jack in the bowl and pushed the Joe Edwards bowl in behind the head. And I imagine looking from here as holding 2 shots. Superb bowl by the Australian player.
Yeah, it certainly is. She's got plenty of experience for a young player. Made her Australian debut 5 years ago now. So she's been around this setup for a while. And certainly isn't daunted by the prospect of taking on the world's best and Joe Edwards. You know, she's in a fight here.
So Edwards play down again on her backhand. Definitely 2 down, trying to draw down to where Christina Krstic. See the 2 yellow bowls sitting there, the 2 Australian bowls. It's breaking down towards their head now. Is it going to get to the jack? Is it going to sit on top? Have a look at this.
Needs it to fall in. It's not going to.
The bowl sitting up high, so it's not going to fall into the head, but great recovery there from Joe Edwards. So Christina Krstic will, I imagine, she may well follow that Joe Edwards bowl and try and sit on the bowl.
Well, if she can, she possibly has 3. So she can try and emulate her previous one, which is what she'll try and do with her last bowl of this end, trying to re-grab the ascendancy and control of this match, as Joe Edwards has scored on the last couple of ends. Looks on a decent track. It's just going to slide by. In fact, it does get rid of it. So what cuts it to maybe 2, potentially 3 for Christina Krstic. We'll wait for the lollipops to go up.
2 superb bowls by the Australian player. Just rested the Joe Edwards bowl.
It is 2.
2 it is.
So 2 more for Christina Krstic. And she got rid of the Joe Edwards bowl, which was the second. So it made it 2 Australia yellow. So Christina Krstic now leading New Zealand's Joe Edwards, 9-4 in the race to 21.
Certainly up to the challenge of playing the world number 1 player, Brenton. He's played some magnificent bowls, has Christina Krstic, and putting the pressure on Joe Edwards. And got a real battle on her hand against the young Australian up-and-coming player.
Yeah, certainly not daunted by an occasion like this. Christina Krstic played a lot of big tournaments now, despite her relative inexperience when you compare her to Joe Edwards, who's in her 627th game for New Zealand. Quite incredible.
We'll have some very interesting stats, Brenton, when we get to the last game this afternoon, won't we, in the final of the women's pairs.
Yeah. You won't get more caps than in the skips for those two teams in New Zealand and Australia green, but we'll talk about that a bit later. And Jo Edwards has a big battle on her hands before she can even think about the women's pairs final. Krstic has showed she's certainly in for the fight.
It's interesting now coming this way. We had a complete reversal. Krstic playing the backhand down that way, whereas Jo Edwards played her first bowl on the forehand as we watch the Krstic bowl just fall under the head slightly, but virtually in the jack line, and Jo Edwards asking how far from the jack is it. Her bowl, in fact, is jack level. That's the Jo Edwards bowl, and the yellow bowl of Australia is, in fact, low of the jack, and Jo Edwards needs to endeavour to draw just around that bowl or slightly under it on the dead draw to get shot. Here it is now, coming down towards the head. Has to get clear of the yellow bowl. In fact, run into the yellow bowl.
It should be enough for shot as it falls in.
If it fell over, it should be shot. As Krstic asking who's got the shot on our monitor, it favours the Jo Edwards bowl. So Krstic, she's certainly that opinion as well, because she's running to try and get to across the head to try and turn that Jo Edwards bowl out of the head. So that would give you the indication, Brenton, that Jo Edwards is holding the shot.
Yeah, certainly. Jo Edwards just wanting to know where that Krstic bowl is in relation to the jack. Looks like it's just jack low.
It's what I would term, Brendan, as safely jack low, because you'd be desperately unlucky if you knocked that into shot the way how it's sitting on the head. Jo Edwards coming to have a look, but obviously she wouldn't want to get the back of the bowl where it may well get one roll into and knock it in for shot, as it could do on the other hand as well. But I think Edwards will play the hand that she's most confident of the draw, knowing, as we've spoken about, she gets that very, very late draw on her bowls, and she'll want to come either just around or under that bowl. Good crowd arriving here for early in the morning Queensland time.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Finals day, of course, alongside the New Zealand combinations, which are in action. I've got the women's fours along with Jo Edwards. Are a couple of finals games. We have more to come, obviously, this afternoon. New Zealand involved in 3 finals today. So we have New Zealand women's 4 in action against Wales in a bronze medal match as well. And Caitlin Inch skipped 4, leading Wales 2-1 after 3 ends. So very much still in the early stages in that one. And Brendan Aguilani of Malta is leading Andrew Kelly of New Zealand in the 5th, 6th playoff in the men's singles 11-6. Also in the race 21, as is this one here, as we see a very good effort from Krstic, and she's very unfortunate that didn't either trail to the jack or sack that shot bowl.
Just got a feather on the Jo Edwards bowl, which put it off track, but was certainly on a good line to dislodge that shot bowl of Jo Edwards. As we watch Jo's last bowl now, breaking in towards the head. It would appear to have the shot, and it's going to slip by. It will.
So, should be 1 more to Jo Edwards, who regains the mat and the jack. And the lollipop goes up. So, 4-shot differential. Australia yellows Krstic, leading New Zealand's Jo Edwards, 9-5. In the race to 21, this women's singles bronze medal match. The first medal match for New Zealand today. Also have the New Zealand women's fours in action against Wales in a bronze medal match at the same time. We have 2 New Zealand combinations in finals from 3 p.m. New Zealand time, and we'll be bringing you the men's triples final. Ali Forsyth, Andrew Kelly and Chris Lalive up against Australia Green. Also playing at the same time, Gary Lawson and Jamie Hill will be in the men's final against Canada in the men's pairs, and we'll keep you up to date with that one. And then from 6 p.m. New Zealand time, Joe Edwards will be back in action in the women's pairs final alongside Taylor Bruce up against Australia Green. So plenty of big games to look forward to today on this final day of the Multi-Nations tournament. And so very much looking forward to that. Our focus, though, for the time being, is on this contest between 2 very good protagonists of singles. Of course, Joe Edwards, 2-time defending champion, Commonwealth Games, and young Christina Krstic, who's already shown herself at national level for Australia. Bronze in the singles at the 2018 Nationals, also a silver medal in the Australian Open in this event.
And drawing very consistently is the Australian player as we watch her second bowl come down towards the jack, just breezes past the jack, not quite a toucher. The lollipop lady was all sent to give it that little spray, but just went by centimetres. But holding the shot is the Australian player as we watch. Hello, some distraction there for Joe Edwards as she was about to deliver her bowl. Back on the mat.
As we see Gail Melrose, her rink coach in the background next to Dave Edwards. Former Blackjacks coach, of course, Joe Edwards' husband. And then we have Sharon Sims, who's the rink coach for the New Zealand Women's Four, just in the rink alongside. As not far away, Joe Edwards. Still Christina Krstic holding shot.
Just the one as Christina Krstic will come down as well on that backhand and endeavour to sit on that last Joe Edwards bowl as it breaks down towards the head now. The Australians, it's on a good line again. It's on a very, very good line. In fact, they're going to sit right in behind the jack and sits, in fact, alongside it. And I'm sure now we're going to see Joe Edwards will play with some weight to try and dislodge, get some movement on the jack.
Yeah, if she can collect the jack and take it through to her bowls. And that's where Christina Krstic, while it was a great bowl, was not actually what she was after. She was hoping to sit on that Joe Edwards bowl. As now we see playing with some weight, Joe Edwards, she's off target. She takes away one of the Australian bowls, but her actual target was the jack. So now Krstic holding one. She's just looking to see if maybe she's holding another. She's going to have the final say on this end.
Just one bowl offline and to get the ultimate result, but took out one of the counters to Joe Edwards. Didn't get the jack, which, as Brenton said, was her target, and didn't quite get it. But Christina Krstic been playing very, very well in this game, and certainly not overawed in any way at all by playing against our New Zealand, or the world #1 women's singles player. Well, women's player, full stop. As we watch this last bowl, Christina Krstic's break towards the head and played it well again. And that'll make 2, I would say.
Possibly 3.
Because you did get a wee bit of movement on the jack.
3 comes up from the lollipop. So 3 more to Australia yellow. 12-5. They now lead New Zealand. As Christina Krstic representing Australia yellow. Australians have 2 teams in this multi-nations, yellow and green. Krstic representing yellow, beaten by Alan Ryan, in fact, in the singles earlier in the week in the semi-finals, who represented Australia green. Very good mate within the Australian squad.
They do get on very well, those two. They get up to a bit of frivolity, those two. So another Christina Krstic leading 12-5. That's a good lead. And Jo Edwards certainly got her work cut out against the young Australian player. And she's drawn jack level with her first bowl, has Christina Krstic. And Jo Edwards laying down on the opposite hand, trying to get down to inside the counting bowl. It's just going to swoop past it and drifts away by a metre. So Christina Krstic holding shot and will again draw on her backhand.
The New Zealand women's 4 after 4 ends of their bronze medal match against Wales, leading 3-1. So just singles being picked up in that contest so far. So a pretty tight semi-final unfolding in the women's 4's bronze medal match rather than the semi-final. Skipped by Caitlin Inch for the first time. The women's 4, you see her on screen, to the left of Jo Edwards.
Because now Jo Edwards having to change to that backhand where that Christina Krstic bowl landed, cut off her normal forehand draw on that side, runs into her other bowl and remain 2 down. Christina Krstic certainly has got control at this point in time and playing very well. Again on the backhand, her third bowl. Breaks in towards the head now. And will be 3.
Yeah, big smile there from Christina Krstic as she jogged after that one. Very much in a strong position here against the Commonwealth Games champion. As looks like there's too much weight on this one as well. It's going to slide past her wide bowls and sit in behind the jack.
So note the Australian coach there talking to Christina Krstic, talking about should I go to the spot? Well, I don't actually think so, because I'm sure we're going to see Jo Edwards with her last bowl. We're endeavouring to draw 3 down, and with Christina Krstic to play her last bowl.
Yeah, there's not much, all of Jo Edwards' bowls are past the head, but not significantly past the head.
Well, they're not in what we'd call a counting position behind the head, really, Brendan, to get to a counting position, I should say. As we watch this bowl of Christina Krstic will just drop out of the count on that backhand side. Just went past the Jo Edwards bowl, which in fact is 4th shot or 5th shot. So Edwards now with a lot of work on her hands, definitely 3 down on her backhand. Poised on the mat. It's on its way. It's on a different line.
It's going to kiss off that wide bowl and fall in, but I don't think enough. Should be 3 more for Christina Krstic. We'll wait for the lollipops to go up in confirmation. It is 3 to Christina Krstic, Australia yellow. So now leading by 10 shots in the race to 21, only 6 away. 15-5 she leads, and an uphill battle here for Jo Edwards.
Certainly is at this point of the game, Brendan, because we've seen the young 25-year-old, the Western Australian player. She's been dominating the length and dominating the draw, and certainly it's a big challenge for Jo Edwards, as you say. Only 6 to go out now, at 10-point gap. So Jo Edwards, the champion, of course, will show. I need to put on one of her tenacious performances here for sure, as the first bowler, Christina Krstic, just goes by the head, but still fairly handy. So Jo Edwards now, she'll no doubt play on her backhand. Breaking in towards the head now. Looks to be on a pretty good line. How's the weight on it? Looks on a good line. It runs towards the jack. Will just pull up short of the jack, but will be shot, it's for sure. So a response here from Christina Krstic, with Joe Edwards definitely holding the shot.
Yeah, for how long, though? This looks like it's on a decent line. Is it just going to come under? Runs into what was the shot bowl. May have done enough to take the shot. Yeah, I think signalling there that it was enough to take the shot for Christina Krstic. It was a great start from Joe Edwards. She's going to need more of the same because Krstic is certainly up for the fight in this contest. Women's singles bronze medal match.
And Joe Edwards changing her hand. And it breaks towards the jack now. That's a good bowl from the New Zealander. Sits right in front of the jack. And Christina Krstic would be asking the marker. No, she's not, but looks as though that's definitely the shot from Edwards, asking how far away, how short the bowl is to the jack, and indicating it's not that far. So Christina Krstic on her backhand. If she can make contact with her yellow bowl, which sits in that middle of three, if she can turn that over, it would just about turn that over onto the jack and would just about make shot of it. That's the shot that Christina Krstic was certainly trying to play. There's that yellow bowl sitting there in the triangle, at the tip of the triangle. Turns that into the head, that will run straight onto the jack. So Joe Edwards now playing her third, trailing 15-5 in the race to 21 on her forehand. Definitely holding. Third bowl breaking down towards the head. Looks on a good line as well. Brenton, this bowl of Edwards is going to get him behind the jack.
It is, and it falls in. That may be enough for two. Certainly looks from our camera angle. Great bowl that from Joe Edwards as she makes her way down to have a little inspection of the head before her final bowl. Another single has been scored in the women's fours bronze medal match between New Zealand and Wales. Wales picking up one, and so it is now the New Zealand women's four, skipped by Caitlin Inch, leading Wales 3-2 after 5 of the 15 ends.
Interesting. Christina Krstic going to the forehand to play this and changed her hand.
And the bowl just disappeared.
Just didn't touch anything. Looked when it left her hand. Looked on a reasonably good line, and then it just flew under the line. So Joe Edwards now will be endeavouring to draw another one down on that forehand side. Drawn 2 very good shots down there, just centimetres from the jack. There's perfect conditions here at Broadbeach.
Yeah.
Sun streaming in. Good crowd coming in as well. By the time the afternoon finals get underway, we'll have a good crowd in here at Broadbeach. And of course we'll also have here the New Zealand and Australian development sides and the Australian New Zealand over 60 sides. They'll be here this afternoon, no doubt, watching the finals. So as we watch this bowl, Joe Edwards break towards the head, just going to come up short. Is it? Yes. So we'll see what the...
Is that enough for a third, or is it just 2? Christina Krstic is looking very intently. I think it's pretty close. So those are... Well, I think we might get that.
This could be an umpire with the block or the chock underneath the bowl.
Oh, some hesitation. No,
they decided.
And worked it out between them rather than having any involved. And we'll wait for the lollipops to go up. I think it's going to be 4. It is 4. 4 go up to Joe Edwards. So reducing that deficit in a big way. From 15-5 down, she now trails 15-9 in the race to 21. Women's singles bronze medal match here at the Multi-Nations, the final day of the Multi-Nations tournament here at the Broadbeach Bowls Club. Joe Edwards will be back in action later today in the women's pairs final as well against Australia Green from 6 p.m. New Zealand time. We'll have coverage of that match for you as well.
They were certainly 4 well-drawn bowls by the New Zealand singles player, all within about 18 inches of the jack, and changed her hand as well. Drew shots on both forehand and backhand side, so very, very well played in by the New Zealand player. And at 15.9, she doesn't like that first bolt though. Is it just under green slightly? The weight's not bad.
Yeah, it wasn't the worst though. I wouldn't have turned my back on one of those bowls, Kevin, if it was me.
No, I agree with you, Brent, and it's still what I would regard as pretty handy actually. So here we have Krstic, the Australian player, the Australian yellow player.
Yeah, I suppose when you're a player of the calibre of Joe Edwards, you have slightly different standards
Yes, you do.
than we do. And coming up short of the head is not something she'd ever like. But there is, I suppose, an opportunity to try and, if you play on the backhand side, to come off that one towards the jack. But now with Krstic's bowl there, that's probably not a great option. So it looks like she's going to stick on the forehand side.
Krstic holding the shot, sitting just jack high slightly as we watch this Joe Edwards bowl. Now break down towards the head. It's on a good line, but the weight's just going to push it through the head fractionally, and we'll still lay one shot for Krstic, leading 15 shots to 9, 15-9 in the race to 21 in this bronze medal match.
Well, Kevin, we often talk about the freakish ability of top-level players, but these players' ability to be able to teleport their bowls that we've seen today has been quite incredible. I don't know if I've seen this before.
Yeah, that's... yeah. You're right.
Technical issues, but we'll hope to iron them out over the day.
We will.
I'm sure that the team will, no doubt about that. We apologise for those.
As Joe Edwards has turned her back on that one again, because that's definitely under the line. That's not something you normally see from Joe Edwards. It's 2 bowls under the line. She's played 3 bowls, 2 down. Pressure straight away. Back on Joe Edwards, trailing 15-9. And she plays her last bowl. She could, in fact, be 3 down. Definitely 2 to the Australian.
Plenty of room to work with, though, so she'll take some comfort from that. She knows if she bowls a half-decent bowl by her standards with her last, she should be able to at least cut the deficit. Krstic, too much weight by the looks of things here, although it does slow up. And that is another great bowl. That is the shot bowl. That certainly looks by our screen. 3 to Krstic.
Remembering that Joe Edwards just on the previous end picked up that 4. And here we are, the very next end. She's 3 down. And again, someone moves. And I see the cameraman, dear, moved right across in front when Joe is about to deliver her bowl. As she is now, the tall former Nelson player, now of course at Pine Rivers.
Yeah, again, turns her back on that one though, Kevin. So that's not a good sign for New Zealand. Is it going to run into one of those Australian bowls? It does kiss off one of them, but not the way she wanted. So that should be Krstic holding 3, and she's still got 1 bowl to play. So a chance to hit straight back with 4 of her own here, Krstic, and to go on the verge of winning this match.
It's interesting, Brendan. We spoke about this yesterday. Joe Edwards knows only too well the problem of the narrow line bowls not getting back to the centre line. You just have completely ineffective bowls, so to speak. And it's not an adverse comment about Joe Edwards. It's just a fact of the game, whoever you may be. If you don't come back to the centre line, as we see this bowl of Krstic's break its way back to the centre line, and will make 4 of it. And it makes a big difference if you find that centre line. And Joe Edwards on 3 occasions in, most unlike Joe Edwards, was unable to find that centre line, and you pay the consequence for it.
Yeah, the lollipop's going up again, and again difficult for the lollipop lady because it's 4 to Krstic, so restores that 10-shot advantage over New Zealand's Joe Edwards, and is now just 2 away from winning bronze here at the Multi-Nations Tournament on the Gold Coast here at the Broadbeach Bowls Club. A lovely day once more for top-level bowls. Already temperature in the mid-20s.
No, we certainly weren't expecting this, to be fair, Brenton, were we? To see the stage that Krstic having a convincing lead over Joe Edwards. So a lot of work for Edwards to do now to get back into the competition. And that race to 21.
Yeah, well, she can't even let one little slip up from now on, because that will be the match. Jo Edwards will know that more than most. She's been in these kinds of situations. She's had a number of 21-20 games in the women's singles this tournament.
Taylor Bruce in the bronze medal match in the women's fours. I just see Taylor Bruce with the mat, indicating that New Zealand in that game against Wales have just scored again.
Yeah, they scored a couple. In fact, it's the first multiple of that women's fours bronze medal match, Kevin. So well spotted. So New Zealand now 5-2 over Wales after 6 of the 15 ends. And we'll also try and bring you up to date with the men's singles matchup. And this is 5th and 6th place between Brendan Aguilani of Malta and New Zealand's Andrew Kelly. And it's Aguilani who is leading 15-8 in the race to 21. The men's singles 5th v 6th. Those are the 3 New Zealand matches on this morning. We will have 3 more in action from 3 p.m. New Zealand time, including 2 finals. And we'll be broadcasting for you the men's triples final. Ali Forsyth, Andrew Kelly and Chris Lalive up against Australia Green. Gary Lawson and Jamie Hill will also be in action in the men's pairs final, and there'll also be women's triples 3rd v 4th as well, a bronze medal match there. That's all to come before the women's pairs final.
As we watch this bowl of Krstic with Jo Edwards holding 2 shots, and she just tried to get a touch on the jack, did the Australian, missed it by just mere centimetres. So Jo Edwards holding 2 shots, play down on her forehand. Of course, as Brenton rightly says, you can't make any slip-ups now because it's all over. But another good bowl here from Edwards. Going to sit inside these Australian bowls. It falls in. It may well count, but definitely 2. And Krstic will play her last bowl now. Definitely Edwards holding the shot.
Yeah, good fight back this from Jo Edwards. Needed to. And it's been a pretty decent looking head, and you look at that selection of bowls there. First 6 from both players. It's not far away.
It's a tea towel over them all, Brenton. You cover those, wouldn't you, with a tea towel. So as we watch now, Krstic sitting on 19, just wanting 2 shots to go out, trying to play on that backhand to get a touch on the jack to move it to her 2 yellow bowls. It's on a line which looks to be under the head.
Yeah, she doesn't like that. Her reaction was quite clear after delivering that one. And the head goes down. She knows she can't give opportunities to Jo Edwards like this while she's in such a comfortable position, 10 up. She knows that can change very quickly, and she's got to make the most of her chances against Edwards because she knows not many more are going to come. Edwards is going to make it very difficult for Krstic to close out this match.
Well, you know, the players of this international standard, and to all of the players here at this particular event, it's certainly one of the highest standards, Brenton, isn't it? There's no doubt about that. You know, the really top class countries here, and it's a hard competition. And all of these players in the singles, for example, on their day, are capable of beating anybody.
Yeah, certainly are. You know, the calibre of these players in Australia have got such incredible depth that whoever they put into action in the women's singles is just going to come up short there. So Christina Krstic saying maybe it's just the one.
Just the one is the indication from the Australian player. Jo Edwards is going to pull the measure
out. She wants to obviously fight for every single shot she can get, being 10 down. Won't be happy with just the one. We'll hope that she can grab a second here. But looks like it is just the one. We'll wait for the lollipops to go up. Maybe it is 2. And it is just 1. 1 to Jo Edwards. So makes it a 9-shot game now, this women's singles bronze medal match. And it's Australia's Christina Krstic, who is leading New Zealand's Jo Edwards, 19-10 in the race to 21.
So, because the ends don't count, as Brendan just said, first to 21, so the ends don't count at all in this. It's getting to 21, so you never run out of ends, just run out of numbers in this particular this format.
Yeah, so singles matches can be over very quickly, or they can last quite a long time. Actually, Andrew Kelly had an example where I think he actually was playing Brendan Aguilani in round robin play in the men's singles, and it didn't go to 21 because they got timed out.
It timed out, didn't they? It was 19 something, I think.
1917, I think it finished. So it does happen sometimes. Of course, there's no time. And this, though, it goes for us until they're finished. So given they've got a bit extra time when it comes to these finals matches, there's no time limits in place. So that's an important thing to note, because we had time limits in place for round robin of 2.25 hours.
Just see Val Smith over there in the women's fours just trailed the jack down towards the back of the head. Looks as though New Zealand got a couple over there, leading 5-2, as Brenton said. Now, what we've got now, by the look of it, is measuring the jack to see if it's up the required 22 metres. So they're out measuring from the front of the mat to the jack.
Yeah, of course, if it's not 22 metres, that means Joe Edwards will be giving up the jack, but looks like it is 22 metres.
Look to be up by
maybe 22 and a half.
22 and a bit. But it was up enough.
So worth checking, obviously, for Christina Krstic, because she should have the opportunity to play a longer end, which she is favoured. Joe Edwards, look at this, the jack above the lines there. So very short end, 22 metres, bit of change.
Well, with the greens running at the speed 18 seconds, we watch this bowler, Joe, would just break towards the jack. All but got a feather on it. Sits just centimetres away. He's this length. It's just a little push out of your hand. It's certainly not like the other green behind us here, Brendan, which was about 13. It has increased a wee bit more as we watch the first bowl of Christina Krstic, just going to pull up short, but certainly not by much.
Yeah, not a bad effort. I think the camera angle will be slightly deceiving. That was probably a bit shorter than it actually looks, especially when compared to Joe Edwards' first bowl. So we have an opportunity to try and come inside that Christina Krstic bowl. This is another good effort from Joe Edwards. This one's just going to drift past the head. But again, just showing her expertise with this shorter length.
You have to be, well, both these players are very, very good players, obviously, but it's a challenging length because at the speed of the green, it just doesn't need much pushing at all and getting that line right. Now, this might we'll see, I'm sure. Joe Edwards may well need to change her hand here because the second bowler, Christina Krstic's, been short and ran across the front of the head, virtually on that draw line on that side of the rink for Edwards. So here she is changing to her backhand now.
Yeah, it turned out to be quite a nuisance bowl, that from Christina Krstic. While it wasn't a great one, it did stop Joe Edwards playing again on that forehand, so forced to play backhand. This isn't a bad effort. It's again finding a way through that gap between that short Christina Krstic bowl and the jack. Unfortunately, the weight wasn't quite right. The line wasn't quite right to take the jack.
Jack would have been very beneficial to Edwards as we watch this third bowl of Christina Krstic. Again, going to just fall under the head, but turned her own bowl over. And Joe Edwards asking, yes, the marker quickly indicating that it's still 1-2 New Zealand. So Joe Edwards will make sure she's out on that wider side so she doesn't touch that yellow bowl, which wouldn't need one roll more than I would make shot of it. So Joe Edwards again now trying to draw another shot or to get a touch on the jack, trailing 19-10 in the race to 21. 19-10 in the race to 21. And just going to pull up slightly short.
Yeah, she hangs that towel of hers over her face. Very unhappy with that one. Didn't have the weight.
Of course,
trying to trail the jack.
She can't really attack this because Christina Krstic's other bowls are all short of the head. So she may well play down with some weight to get to her yellow bowl, but she doesn't want to lose her yellow bowl out of the head as well. So electing on the safe side to try and dead draw the shot. Only got one bowl really in close proximity as it breaks down towards their head now to try and get to the shot bowl. In fact, touch the shot bowl on the back of the bowl. Great attempt there by the Australian player.
Just one, though, to Joe Edwards. And so, making it an 8-shot game now. Australia's Christina Krstic, 19, leading New Zealand's Joe Edwards, 11. And this is the race to 21. Doesn't matter about the ends. It's all about who gets to 21 first. So I can say after 7 ends of the women's fours final between New Zealand and Wales, it's now New Zealand. The Caitlin Inch skipped 4, leading Wales 8-2. And also in action is a 5th, 6th playoff in the men's singles between Brendan Aguilani of Malta and Andrew Kelly of New Zealand. And I think they're just changing the scoreboard there as well. 19-10 to Brendan Aguilani. And that one in the race to, in fact, 16-13. It is 16-13 to Brendan Aguilani in the race to 21. And 5th, 6th playoff in the men's singles.
So again, we saw Joe Edwards deliver the short length jack, and so Christina Krstic wasn't 100% sure whether it was up or not. Went for a run up the other end to have a look and deemed it to be up. The umpire was all ready to jump out and measure it again, but not required. So here now is Joe Edwards trailing 19-11. Looks a pretty handy opening bowl. This as it breaks towards the jack and is going to sit just alongside on that forehand side. Very short end. See Sharon Sims sitting there, who is the rink coach for the fours, women's fours side. As we see Christina Krstic's bowl breaking down towards the head, just going to go by. And this is where the old mental toughness comes out, Brendan, doesn't it? When you're trailing by 19-11, you know, it's you just can't. There's no room for error, is there?
Oh, there's certainly not. That's for sure. And likewise for Christina Krstic, I think chance for her to show where she's at mentally as well to close this one out when you've got the world's very best chasing you.
Well, Joe Edwards has opened to 2 really good bowls on that forehand side. One sitting just alongside the jack and the other just behind it. So Christina Krstic breaking down towards the head. Is it going to get to the jack or not? All but got a touch on the jack and will be second shot.
Yeah, great effort that from Christina Krstic. Needed a good bowl on the shorter ends, and she's got one. And what she has done a pretty good job of when Joe Edwards has had the mat, she's limited the damage. If Joe has scored, it's usually only been a 1 or a 2.
And she's played some big shots, you know, especially in the early stages. Watch this bowl of Joe Edwards break down towards the jack, sit inside the Australian bowl, and asking the marker what the story is. And it is 2. Now I think we're going to see Christina Krstic will come down on that forehand side, play in between the 2 New Zealand bowls. If she gets a touch on the jack, there's an Australian bowl sitting about a metre behind, and she certainly is playing with sort of weight to endeavour to get to the counting area as it breaks down towards the head now, towards the jack. Going to get to the jack, is it? No, it's not. And tips the Joe Edwards bowl over. Might be second shot. Definitely 1 to New Zealand. I thought she might have had a wee bit more weight than that, Brendan, to carry the jack.
Yeah, interesting. I think slightly underplayed that with the weight. She's going to get another opportunity, but what will Joe Edwards firstly do with her last?
Well, the head goes down at the point of delivery, and it's going to go under the head. And I think for the Australian player sitting on 19 and having the last bowl, ideal opportunity with a yard of weight down through the 2 Joe Edwards bowls, and with the yellow bowl sitting right on the centre line about a metre behind the Christina Krstic bowl. If she made contact to the jack, her bowl would go through with it, and every chance of picking up those vital 2 shots. The stage is Joe Edwards holding the shot.
Yeah, chance to potentially end it here for Christina Krstic. Is she playing with that weight though? I think she's underplayed this again. He's going to come under the line, run into that front bowl, and actually very almost, fortunately, take the shot. It certainly took out the second. So it will just be 1 to Joe Edwards, I believe. They're assessing this.
Out comes the measure. I thought it was still 1 to Joe Edwards. I think Joe still thought it was 1 to her, but got a feather off that bowl that we were talking about, Brenton, and didn't have the weight as we spoke about to get the jack back, but nearly got to the jack and her bowl nearly sat right on top of it.
So she's got lucky here. It's now working out. Who's got it? Is Joe Edwards? No,
it's
in
not.
fact, it's not Joe Edwards. It is Christina Krstic who's picked up the single. So she's on match point now, 20-11. She leads New Zealand's Joe Edwards in the race to 21. And Christina Krstic got lucky there. It was not the bowl she was trying to play, but ran into that front one, slid off that, and just made its way closer to the jack than Joe Edwards's. So,
bit fortuitous and just got that little feather off that bolt. So Joe Edwards now, a lot of work to do, and all but is the Australian singles player. See another end just completed in that woman's fours. So Christina Krstic delivered her first bolt. It's narrow.
Yeah, another single picked up by New Zealand, so looking good for the New Zealand women's fours in their bronze medal match against Wales. 9-2, they now lead after 8 of the 15 ends.
So here's now Joe Edwards. Is there a big comeback? I know Joe's more than capable of pulling this back. True internet great player is Edwards, and she'll still be convinced without any shadow of doubt that she can win this game. No, Christina Krstic just needs the one shot. Joe Edwards has drawn a good opening bowl in behind the jack. Christina Krstic on her backhand. One down on the head. Looks as though the second bowl is going to be narrow and run outside the line, and it is. So Joe Edwards, her second, knows that she beats the yellow bowl there. That's another counting bowl. Definitely holding the shot is Edwards. No wind either here today at this stage either, Brenton, is it? Just real perfect conditions.
Yeah, the wind usually picks up a bit later in the day, so I'd expect that maybe for our second set of matches. So we'll be broadcasting the men's triples final. New Zealand taking on Australia Green from 3 p.m. New Zealand time.
Great bowl there by Joe Edwards, just finished in front of the jack, sitting right on the centre line. As Christina Krstic will play her third bowl on the backhand. She's got a wider line, this bowl. But is it going to break under the head again? Yes, it is. It's going to disappear again under the head. Will it force Joe Edwards to change her hand on that draw line? May do. She certainly doesn't want to give what's termed a shoulder on that side of the head for Christina Krstic to rub off.
Wow, this has been a quite poor end from Christina Krstic. Certainly haven't seen this at all from her. 3 bowls nowhere near the jack. And a big opening this. A chance here for Joe Edwards. Of course, Krstic still has 1 bowl to play.
So Edwards still feels she's not hindered on that forehand, playing between the 2 yellow bowls, trying to get into the counting position. Is it going to feather? Where's it going to hit on the... Yeah, ran into the yellow bowl of Christina Krstic's. But
yeah, that was always a danger, wasn't it,
it
Kevin?
Was, yeah.
Playing on that forehand side. The backhand was a lot freer. No short bowls of Krstic to try and negotiate. There's always a possibility that she's going to run into that. Is now Krstic playing on the backhand side.
Breaking down now towards the head, but again, under that line again. It would still be, I would say, 2 to Edwards.
Yeah, I think that's probably the third. As the marker just giving an indication of where the jack is, and also an indication of how many shots that Joe Edwards is playing. So I expect her to now play on the backhand side. Try and add to the count. Pick up a 3.
I'm sure Joe didn't. Her thoughts were obviously then, if she had played now on the backhand with the third bowl and finished jack level, it gave Christina Krstic something to work off. So, but unfortunately, got tangled up as we watch this bowl break towards the head, and this will certainly count. That'll be 3 for New Zealand.
Yeah, it certainly is. So Joe Edwards fights back a rear off end from Christina Krstic, and Joe Edwards pounces. So if the paddles go up, and it is 3 to Joe Edwards. So 20-14 now in the race to 21. Australia yellows Christina Krstic over New Zealand's Joe Edwards. This women's singles bronze medal match. Also in action after 8 ends in the women's fours bronze medal match. New Zealand leading Wales 9-2. So playing the 9th end of 15 in that one. And we also have men's singles 16-14. Brendan Aguilani of Malta is leading Andrew Kelly of New Zealand. That a 5th, 6th playoff on the green behind us as well. Green number 3.
So the jack got lost by Joe Edwards.
That could be telling. That could be the crucial deciding moment of this game, obviously, with Christina Krstic on match point. She wanted to continue to dictate the length and play short, but given away the jack. And now Christina Krstic playing to where she wants it, while Joe Edwards still bowls first. It's a length that Christina Krstic got to the side.
So you see now this Joe Edwards bowl now breaking down towards the head. It's a pretty good opener. Sit in behind the jack, not quite onto the centre line, but in a good position. And Christina Krstic, so she'll follow that down on her forehand, needing just the one shot, of course, to go out. Joe Edwards on 14. And holding the shot as you watch this bowl of Christina Krstic. Now that's going to go across the line as well.
And we know, Kevin, this last one is the hardest to come by.
Certainly is.
It can be tortuous when you're on 20. You know you just need one. Should be easy. The last 20 have come pretty easy for Christina Krstic, but that last one to decide the match, always the toughest.
So Joe Edwards, her second bowl.
Making its way towards the jack, and that's a fine bowl from Joe Edwards. Just going to come up short, but right on that centre line. Jack in behind that. Christina Krstic won't be able to see it from her position on the mat. She'll know where the jack is.
So good bowl there. It's interesting, Brent, just looking at that board, don't see it very often. Joe Edwards has dropped 2 4s. A good bowl here from the Australian players. It's going to get to the jack. It does, and draws a toucher.
Well, that's what she needed, Christina Krstic. That'll be a big little release on the pressure on her.
2 4s and 2 3s. We've seen Joe Edwards.
We see a replay of that Christina Krstic bowl. A toucher.
Perfect weight to the jack. So telling Joe Edwards, you've got how many centimetres you've got to try and draw the shot. Has the Australian player, and Joe Edwards will try and get down to that jack.
It's going to be tough with this Christina Krstic bowl out wide right here.
Certainly
to get
is.
either around it or inside it and get to the jack.
So here's now Edwards trying to get down with weight. It's going to slip under the head. Certainly, you're right, Brendan. Had to play with a lot of weight to make sure that yellow bowl in the front there, that Joe Edwards gets under that bowl. She's only got one bowl left now. It's a fine line down through there, but it was a fantastic bowl by the young Australian player, the 25-year-old from Western Australia. To watch her bowl now, she'll certainly won't want to go near the head, and she'll be going to the back, and she's doing that. Now, I'm going to be the real optimist here. If Joe Edwards can actually get onto this, the drive onto her bowl, Joe Edwards can in fact make a couple of shots out of it. Of course, remember, Christina Krstic's got a bowl left. But there is a chance if she gets the bowl clean onto the yellow, that could go out without the jack actually moving and leave herself lying 2 shots. But hard shot, but no doubt it's the thoughts of Jo Edwards, because she knows it's all over if she misses, so she'll play with that same weight.
Yeah, it's a tough shot though. Low percentage. If she can pull this off, she needs to, because that will keep her in the match. Otherwise, Christina Krstic won't have to bowl her last. She'll be shaking hands and she'll be claiming the bronze medal at these multi-nations. All on this bowl from Jo Edwards.
Yes.
Has she got the line right? It's going to run into that short one. No, it's going to go around it. So it is shake hands time here now. Christina Krstic has no reason to bowl her lasts, and she's deciding not to, and they shake hands. Christina Krstic takes up one more shot. That takes her to 21. 21-14 it finishes, and the young Australian, representing Australia yellow, Christina Krstic, takes out New Zealand's Jo Edwards in the women's singles bronze medal match, 21-14.
Yeah, well, if you look at it, Brendan, if you look at the scorecard, that, as I said just a moment ago, we saw Jo Edwards on the second end drop a 4, and then down she scored then at 9-5 with Christina Krstic leading 9-5. We saw Jo drop a 3 to take the Australian out to a 12-5 lead, and then a further 3, which took her to a 15-5 lead. And then 2 ends later, we saw Christina Krstic score another 4 to take her from 15-9 through to 19-9. So 4 big scoring ends to the Western Australia, scoring 14 shots, in fact, over those 4 ends. With that made obviously a big difference. And Jo Edwards was today. It was Christina Krstic's day. She was the one that was on top throughout the match from end 1, well, from end 2 onwards, and was the dominant player and the deserved winner of that bronze medal match. So not to beat for Jo Edwards in the women's singles. Outplayed in some regard on the day by Christina Krstic, with Christina Krstic running out the winner by 21 shots to 14. And as Brendan rightly said but a few moments ago, our women's triples, they're out in front of us now. They're playing Wales in a bronze medal match in the women's 4s, and they're leading that game. I can't see the scoreboard from here, but the New Zealand side were leading in that. And then in the next round here, the round that gets around about 3 p.m. New Zealand time, we'll have the New Zealand men's triple side, the Ali Forsyth skip side. It is Ali Forsyth with Ali Forsyth, Andrew Kelly and Krista Leave. They'll be up against Australia. And at the same time, we'll have the Gary Lawson combination of Gary Lawson and Jamie Hill. They will play Australia in the final of the men's pairs. And then the last round, which is around 6 o'clock New Zealand time, we'll have the New Zealand pairs combination of Taylor Bruce and Jo Edwards, and they too will be up against Australia in that men's and the women's pairs final. It's interesting to note that both the men's triple side, who will play in this next final here, the New Zealand side, they've gone through unbeaten to date, as has Taylor Bruce and Jo Edwards in the women's pairs. So those two teams going for gold. And of course we move on tomorrow to the Trans-Tasman, which tomorrow we're playing at Helensvale, and we will have the New Zealand side in action, the New Zealand development side, and also the New Zealand over 60 side. Then on Tuesday we move to Musgrove Hills, and again the same discipline, same teams will be playing. And then on Wednesday, the last day, we're back here for the last day of the Trans-Tasman, and that will bring this sort of 10-day carnival of international bowls to a close. And of course we'll be bringing you all of that live action right through to Wednesday. That will be live back to you in New Zealand, and you'll be able to watch all of that live action. Now shortly we should have Brendan Van Nistelrooy should shortly have Jo Edwards with him, and I know that he's made his way up that end of the green to find Jo, to have a chat with her after that defeat. We'll be of course bringing you live action right throughout the day in perfect conditions here at Broadbeach, as it has been right throughout, and that weather pattern certainly looks to continue through the duration. This is, of course, such an important event for the New Zealand high performance side as we build towards the World Championships to be held here at the same 3 venues in May of next year. So this event for the high performance team, New Zealand selectors and coaches, this is a base for them for their selection going forward for the World Bowls side. So very important that this event over the next few days. And of course, as I said, we'll have all that action. And of course, we're also tomorrow, I believe, we're actually going to be filming one of the New Zealand development games, the development team's triples, I believe. We're going to be bringing that live. So to all those people back there in NZ, you won't just see, let's say, the Blackjacks in action. You will also see our development side as well in action. And also, we'll have you updated right throughout those 3 days of the results and updates of this Trans-Tasman Test Series. I can see Brendan van Nistelrooy making his way down towards the tent where we're situated here. And he's got Joe Edwards with him. Disappointed Joe Edwards at missing out on that bronze medal. And Brenton will have a chat with Joe Edwards in but a moment. And then we'll leave that with Brenton and Joe, and then we'll be back for coverage this afternoon. So just getting ready for this chat with these Joe and Brendan van Nistelrooy, who will have a chat with Joe Edwards here at the Broadbeach Bowling Club on the Gold Coast of Australia.
We are now joined by Joe Edwards after that women's singles bronze medal match. And Joe, is a tough contest. Christina obviously just played really well today.
Yeah, look, she did. I didn't play very good, but Christina played really, really well. There was a couple of little bits of luck early in the game, which always you want going your way, which didn't. And no, all credit to Christina. She outplayed me today.
Yeah, it's very unlike you to drop 4s. Is it that you just weren't feeling that you were at the top of your game today?
Oh, it's crazy. Like, I got a 4 down the other end, and I didn't get one without out of 9 inches, and got. The next end I didn't get one within 1.5 meters, so it's probably just a little bit of lack of concentration. I just never really found the line down there on one hand, so I was forced to play the other and struggled with that line too, so just going one way. So, yeah, you can't really play a game of singles when you're only going one way. Yeah.
Was it playing any different today, the green, or?
No, I struggled on a hand early, and so had to change, and didn't really pick that one either, so, as you know, line's half the game, and if you're struggling with that, then you struggle with your weight, and then kind of turns to
And now what do you do before the women's pairs gold medal match?
I've got no idea. I'm homeless at the moment. We had to check out of the apartments and haven't checked into the other place, so a bit homeless. But no, I'll watch the girls play the rest of the 4s and have some lunch and try and regather and regroup and try and smash it out in the pairs.
Well, we look forward to seeing you on that. All the best.
Cheers, mate.
Joe Edwards after her women's singles bronze medal match where she went down 21-14 to Christina Krstic. We'll be back in around a couple of hours' time as we have the next round of play, and we'll have the men's triples gold medal match against Australia Green.